The story of SpaceX's first, even larger Block 2 Super Heavy booster solidifies. The FAA Starship investigation hits its first milestone. Flight 9 is getting closer. Did you see Spectrum launch from Norway and crash into the ocean? Is ExoMars finally ready to get off the ground after almost a decade of delays? My name is Felix, welcome to What About It. Let's dive right in. We finally got some more action at Starbase. I know most of you were enjoying the concrete content, but we've got something even more exciting for today's episode. Booster 14.1 has rolled out of Mega Bay 1 and back to the launch site for what appears to be the first pre-flight 9 testing campaign. SpaceX is getting closer to putting a Starship back in the air. Remember the question I asked you on the last episode, Booster 16 or 14? Booster 14-1, as most already know, has already flown before with Flight 7. As predicted, the curtain was lifted. If everything works out, this will be the first time SpaceX reflies any Super Heavy booster, and it won't be the last. I cannot overstate how big of a deal this actually is. Reusing the ship itself is not an immediate must-have. Reusing the booster is. It drives down costs below every other launch provider, as it's still a unique feature for SpaceX for now. If this works out so early on, it opens up launch prices for Starships that will be well below something like ULA's Vulcan rocket right from the start, just with 4 to 6 times the payload capacity. Next on the checklist of pre-flight tasks is a static fire test. We'll keep an eye out for some hot action. Epic stuff! Also, we've had some very unexpected movement in the rocket garden. Take a look at this. Recently, Ship 20 moved to a different ring stand in the garden after 1,000 days of being in the same spot. What could be the reason for that? Doing so has freed up another open ring stand in the garden, so is it about to have company soon? Also, mystery abounds in the corridors of Star Factory. While we've frequently caught peeks and glimpses of nose cone prototypes, there's one sighting that many are even more baffled by. This piece of hardware has no telling labels, which might be deliberate. It appears vastly different than anything else we've ever seen. Could it be the first piece of Block 2 booster hardware? Its diameter is far less than a Starship hull, so this could be a header tank test article. I'm just very puzzled about the heavy metal piece attached to the side. What do you think? Any guesses? Finally, we've got more exciting news from the Cape, where our photographer John Winkopp has captured this video of work at the SpaceX launch site. It appears that sheet piles are being driven into the foundation of the Starship flame trench at Pad 39A. This is a safe indicator for massive work following soon. Cape Canaveral is gearing up for Starship launches. Pad 39A is only a couple of months behind Pad B at Starbase. Yes! With the Gigafactory about to start construction just down the road as well, it's an exciting time to be a Starship fan in Florida. Here's the next massive news. Are you curious how far along the Flight 8 FAA investigation is? Good news! They've closed one of 2 investigations into SpaceX's recent Starship mishaps, giving a partial green light to the rocket's progress. On March 31st, 2025, the FAA announced it had concluded its investigation into SpaceX's Starship Flight 7 mishap, which occurred on January 16th. That flight saw the Starship upper stage explode 8 minutes after liftoff, scattering debris over the preset debris corridor and disrupting air traffic. The FAA accepted the company's findings and corrected actions for Flight 7. However, the investigation into Flight 8, which also ended in an explosion on March 6th, remains open, meaning Starship is not yet clear to return to the skies, but we are getting closer. Flight 7's failure stemmed from a fire in the aft section of the Starship upper stage, leading to a loss of attitude control and communication, as SpaceX reported. The incident forced the FAA to activate a debris response area, rerouting aircraft for safety. Flight 8, launched just 6 weeks later, suffered a similar fate. SpaceX identified an energetic event in the aft section as causing engine failures and a mid-flight breakup. The FAA's ongoing investigation into Flight 8 will require SpaceX to pinpoint the root cause and implement fixes before the rocket can fly again. The closure of the Flight 7 probe is a procedural win, yet the open Flight 8 case keeps SpaceX grounded for now. How far away do you think we are from Flight 9 being fully cleared for launch? Let us know what you think. There's a lot riding on each of these missions and we're watching it with you. If you like watching all this with us, you can help us out in covering even more. Help improve the channel and double check that you've hit the like and the subscribe button to stay up to date with our updates. Very important, it's free and it helps us massively bring you even better content. ESA Aerospace's debut Spectrum rocket met an abrupt end seconds after launch, but the data it captured could still pave the way forward. It's a stark lesson that even a crash can keep the mission on track. On March 30th, 2025, Munich-based ESA Aerospace conducted the first flight attempt of its Spectrum rocket from the Andøya spaceport, a remote facility on Norway's northern coast. Very cold, especially for a Floridian. It marked continental Europe's initial commercial orbital launch attempt outside Russia. The launch began at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time with the 27-meter tall two-stage rocket lifting off, powered by 9 Aquila engines burning liquid oxygen and propane in its first stage. Another single Aquila engine was waiting for its turn at the bottom of the second stage. However, that never got used. Just 18 seconds into the flight, the rocket lost attitude control, veered off course, and activated its flight termination system by T+30 seconds, resulting in a massive crash into the Norwegian Sea. The launch site remained undamaged and strict safety protocols prevented any injuries. ESA Aerospace described the going full spectrum test as a partial success despite the outcome. CEO Daniel Metzler explained that reaching orbit was not the main goal. Instead, the mission prioritized validating critical systems such as propulsion, avionics, and structural performance while collecting flight data during its brief ascent. The company secured extensive telemetry from those 30 seconds, providing valuable insights into Spectrum's real-world behavior. I know, this isn't what ESA Aerospace wanted to see, but it sure is a beautiful explosion. This could be straight from the next Mission Impossible movie. Backed by over $430 million in funding, including a $65 million Series C extension from June 2024, ESA is already constructing its second and third Spectrum rockets at a new Munich production facility. This story isn't over. This incident coincides with Europe's broader effort to secure independent space access. On March 24th, my birthday, the European Space Agency introduced its Launcher Challenge, a €500 million initiative to accelerate new launch vehicles like Spectrum, driven by delays with Ariane 6 and Vega C and a need to reduce reliance on foreign providers. Europe's emerging space sector has faced recent setbacks, including Rocket Factory Augsburg's RFA-1 explosion during a static fire test in August 2024, heightening the stakes for Spectrum's debut. Although it fell short of space, the test aligns with Europe's push to strengthen its position in the global launch landscape. Spectrum's fate isn't sealed by a long shot. It's an early test in a long journey, and ESA holds a $180 million contract backlog with ESA and commercial customers, although it is contingent on mastering this vehicle. For all of the new European viewers who might be watching because of this first launch from Europe, we welcome you and encourage you to become bona fide members of the Y community. No matter where you're from, if you appreciate the content, become a channel member or a patron for extra content. Secure your access to up to 7 picture galleries per week, satellite, aerial and ground photos, and 3D animations. Chat with us and gain more insights on the topic you love. Thank you so much for your support. So here's the next massive news for SpaceX. NASA has brought Starship into its launch contract fold, widening the scope for future missions. It is a significant nod to potential, even if the rocket still got some orbital hurdles to clear. On March 28, 2025, NASA updated its Launch Services 2 contract with SpaceX, headquartered at Starbase, Texas, to incorporate Starship alongside the well-established Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets. This indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity agreement, effective through June 2030 with task orders possible until December 2032, serves as NASA's procurement vehicle for a broad spectrum of missions. It includes planetary probes, Earth science satellites, and deep space exploration projects. The NLS-2 framework assesses launch vehicles in risk categories based on their flight heritage and NASA oversight levels. Starship, lacking any orbital success to date, enters at a lower tier but gains eligibility to bid on select launches as it proves its reliability over time. This shows NASA's confidence in SpaceX's talent to finish what they started. For now, Starship's most defined role is with NASA's Human Landing System program under Artemis, aimed at returning astronauts to the lunar surface, with Artemis 3 in 2026 and Artemis 4 later on. On March 27, 2025, the FCC accepted SpaceX's application for communication spectrum covering Starship variants like the lunar lander, a propellant tanker, and an orbital depot, reinforcing its critical Artemis focus. This contract amendment helps give NASA more launch options, which already feature Blue Origin's New Glenn, United Launch Alliance's Vulcan Centaur, and Rocket Lab's Electron, among others. The NLS-2's annual on-ramp process allows emerging vehicles to join, but adding Starship now signals NASA's belief in its trajectory. While it's not yet a prime pick for science missions due to its unproven orbital record, its HLS commitment and massive payload potential position it as a possible future space cornerstone. That's life. On some lists you really want to be, and from others you can't seem to get away. Spam emails and calls are a constant nuisance, and it keeps getting worse as ruthless data brokers keep selling our personal data to strangers. Do you value your privacy and want to protect it? Meet today's sponsor, Incogni. Let me assure you, you're not alone in this. Having their online data erased is a wish shared by almost half of all Americans. And that number is even higher when it comes to the biggest concern of all, financial data. More than 3/4 of Americans fear hackers stealing their most sensible data. And I do too. Incogni is my perfect partner and perfect solution for data privacy. Incogni is working in the background, making sure our personal data remains just that, personal. You just sign up and grant Incogni permission to track down the data brokers. Once identified, it even handles your removal requests for you. You can finally stop being annoyed by pesky spam calls and emails. It is time to enjoy that good feeling, knowing that your data is now actively protected. It's like having a personal lifeguard watching over my privacy. Time to take control of your personal data with Incogni. Use code Felix at the link below and get 60% off an annual plan. Now, this is a special offer that really makes a difference. Enjoy personal privacy protection while supporting us at the same time. Alright, spam list avoided, let's continue with crazy delays, shall we? Airbus has snagged a contract to build the ExoMars lander platform, stepping in where Russia left off. Still remember that rover? It's a critical piece for getting Europe's rover to Mars, with a pinch of transatlantic teamwork, and honestly, it's been a long time coming. On March 28th, Airbus Defence and Space announced it had been selected by the European Space Agency and Thales Alliance Space to construct the landing platform for the ExoMars mission. This $194 million deal tasks Airbus with delivering the Rosalind Franklin rover to the Martian surface in 2030, replacing a Russian-built platform sidelined after ESA cut ties with Roscosmos in 2022 due to the Ukraine conflict. The landing platform is no small feat. Airbus will design its mechanical structure, thermal systems, and propulsion, including a hefty retro-rocket system to slow the descent from 45 meters per second to under 3 meters per second after parachute braking. Once on Mars, it'll deploy dual ramps for the rover's safest exit. The Rosalind Franklin, already built by Airbus and stored since its original 2022 launch window, aims to drill 2 meters into the Martian soil, hunting for signs of past life. The platform's success hinges on a tight timeline, NASA's contributions, and Airbus's 120+ propulsion systems track record. Will ExoMars finally get off the ground? What about you? Do you want to get off the ground? Check out redlineheli.com/Felix for a once-in-a-lifetime experience and $25 off flying in a helicopter above Starbase. The Redline helicopter team is waiting for you. They'll show you the same views our photographers get on their Starbase flights. Give it a try. NASA has announced the 4-person international crew for SpaceX's Crew 11 mission to the International Space Station, scheduled to launch no earlier than late July from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The crew includes Commander Zena Cardman and pilot Mike Finke from NASA, joined by mission specialist Kimija Jui of Japan's JAXA and Oleg Platonov of Russia's Roscosmos. Cartman, a geoscientist and first-time flyer, was previously slated for Crew 9 but stepped aside due to Boeing's Starliner delays. Finke, a veteran astronaut, has logged 381 days in space over 3 missions. Yui returns after spending 141 days aboard the ISS in 2015, while Platonov will be making his first spaceflight. The team will launch aboard a SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft atop a Falcon 9 rocket as part of NASA's Commercial Crew program. Once on station, they'll spend 6 months supporting ongoing science experiments, testing new technologies, and maintaining ISS operations. Key steps toward NASA's broader goals for Artemis and Mars missions. Crew 11's launch timeline is dependent on the return of Crew 10, setting a tight but manageable turnaround for SpaceX. The mission underscores the continued importance of international cooperation and commercial partnerships in keeping the ISS running, which is now entering its 25th year of continuous human presence. SpaceX launched its Fram2 mission on Monday, March 31st, targeting Earth's polar regions for the first time with a crewed flight. Humans had never flown in orbit over the poles before. Now they have. SpaceX sent the Fram2 mission into orbit from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This flight marked the first human spaceflight to a 90-degree inclination polar orbit. The crew of 4, Commander Chun Wang, Vehicle Commander Janneke Mikkelsen, pilot Eric Phillips, and mission specialist Rabea Rogge began a 3 to 5 day journey orbiting over the North and South Poles. Named after the Norwegian ship Fram, which explored polar regions over a century ago, the mission carried a $250 million price tag, funded by Wang, a Maltese cryptocurrency entrepreneur. He got the money. The mission has a mix of science and pioneering goals. The crew will conduct 22 experiments, including taking the first human X-rays in space, growing mushrooms in microgravity, and studying space adaptation syndrome, a motion sickness affecting over 60% of astronauts. Mushrooms in space? Resilience, on its 4th outing after Crew 1, Inspiration 4, and Polaris Dawn, is set to reach altitudes between 425 and 475 kilometers, providing views of Earth's poles and auroras. This flight stood as SpaceX's 6th private crewed mission, following Polaris Dawn's spacewalk milestone in September 2024. Fram2 slotted into SpaceX's packed schedule, following a Starlink batch launched earlier that same day. Mikkelsen became the first Norwegian astronaut and Rogge the first German woman in space as well. Rocket Lab launched its Electron rocket last week, successfully deploying 8 wildfire detection satellites for Aurora Tech to strengthen global fire monitoring capabilities. It's a timely mission with a subtle edge of urgency as wildfire season approaches across multiple continents. On March 26, 2025, Rocket Lab conducted its 5th launch of the year from Launch Complex 1 Pad B on the Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand. Liftoff occurred at 11:30 a.m. Eastern US time. Named Finding Hot Wildfires Near You, the mission I'm sorry, I love the name. The mission delivered 8 Aurora Tech Constellation Phase 1 satellites into a 550-kilometer orbit at a 97-degree inclination, ideal for polar coverage. These 6U CubeSats, constructed by Spire Global and fitted with Aurora Tech's thermal infrared cameras, joined an expanding network designed to detect and track wildfires worldwide. The Electron rocket released the satellites in pairs over a 55-minute window post-launch. This effort marked Rocket Lab's 63rd Electron mission since 2017, pushing their total satellite deployments to 224. Well done, Team Rocket Lab! Aurora Tech, a German company focused on thermal intelligence, signed the contract in January 2025, giving Rocket Lab just 4 months to execute a tight timeline driven by the need to bolster wildfire monitoring ahead of peak fire seasons in regions like North America and Australia. The 8 satellites enhance a constellation already exceeding 25 units, delivering near real-time thermal data to firefighters, forest managers, and emergency responders. Aurora Tech aims to scale to 100 satellites by 2028, cutting revisit times to 30 minutes for rapid fire detection. This mission specifically addressed the afternoon gap, a critical period from midday to late afternoon when fires often spark and intensify, yet satellite coverage has historically been sparse. The data will also aid forest conservation's infrastructure protection and climate research by mapping heat signatures and fire spread. Honestly, everything that helps our firefighters is a really good thing. This launch is Rocket Lab's third in 2 weeks from Mahia, following missions for Japan's IQPS and France's Cris. It reflects a bustling schedule with over 20 Electron flights planned for this year. With over $430 million in funding, including a $65 million Series C extension from June 2024, the company is scaling up, producing rockets at a new Munich facility targeting 40 units annually. The mission's success highlights Rocket Lab's expertise for quick-turn missions. That's it for today. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe for more. This is what fuels the algorithm, and after all, this is how you can help us for free. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. A new Raptor design and our brand new Starship Block 2 design are both up. Link is in the description and in the card you should see now. Also, check out our print store at shop.whataboutit.space to buy a picture for your favorite wall. A significant amount of every purchase goes directly to our photographer Jordan. And if you want to learn about SpaceX's history and why Starship is skipping leg day, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. The record, it's yes, bona fide. Late July conversations. Hey, Tree, how about you?